Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Screen Scene Guru, and today I'll be discussing some entertainment news, and I'll be showing off some physical media, so let's get into this. It's been about a week since I've done my last video, so there's quite a lot of movie news to catch up on. That's why I've got my trusty journal. Real quick, I just want to go into 10-10-2 has been discussed, being announced from Peter Jackson is back in active development after about 15 years since the last 10-10 movie. The last one was, of course, done by Peter Jackson and Spielberg, so they had a long deal that after Spielberg did the first, of course, Peter Jackson was supposed to direct the second film. Now we're finally hearing news about that. Then we've got Michael Crichton's Westworld. We've heard some news about this in active development again, this time a movie. So really cool. David Koepp is writing, and he is supposedly having special dinners with Spielberg. This is, of course, the writer of Disclosure Day and someone who's worked with Spielberg for years. He wrote the script for War of the Worlds, and then many other things. But yeah, very interesting that David Koepp is writing Disclosure Day. Spielberg actually recently came out a few weeks ago and told the public at a press conference that the next project he's working on after Disclosure Day is a Western, which has a lot of people speculating, could it be Westworld? That would be very fun. Moving on from there, we've got American Horror Story Season 13. Really awesome stuff. Disney's upfront presentation showed off the cast, which is including Paul Kelly and Ariana Grande as new stars to the franchise. They also had a big crowd of previous actors and actresses to show off their support for the franchise. Angela Bassett was there. She was asked on the red carpet who would she want to bring into the universe, and she said Queen Bee, Beyonce, so that's really fun. Jesse Michaels talks with a former NSA or NASA employee in Japan who knew Captain Eugene Carmen of Apollo 17. This is part of those UFO files that have been dropped. We're waiting on our second tranche. But the last man to walk on the moon, and apparently this individual in Japan has his files, has what Eugene Cernan took when he was in Apollo 17, photographs, and then of course also many other documents from NASA. NHIs gave a mental message to never come back to the moon. So very interesting that they psychically gave him this message. And the Japanese officials believe that they are observing us, that the moon is an artificial structure. So very interesting stuff there. Matt Reeves gives tweets about the Batman Part 2. Very interesting stuff. I've been waiting a long time for this. He addressed that Robert Pattinson's back. We're also getting Alfred is returning. The Penguin, Mayor of Gotham, Jim Gordon, and Arthur Martinez. So that's really cool that he went on X, Twitter, to post about that. Scarlett Johansson and more to come. So he posted over the course of 3 days about who's all in the cast. So they did say Scarlett Johansson is confirmed. Sebastian Stan, Charles Dance is also attached, as well as Brian Tyree Henry, which is a really cool pick. Lanterns dropped its second teaser, which had a lot more color in it. A lot more people weren't so upset that there wasn't as much green. I do think they're holding off on the storyline. I do like what we're getting from the trailers, from teasers. But yeah, heavily playing up Jon Stewart taking on the mantle of the next Lantern, even though we get to see Guy Gardner in the trailer and Hal Jordan. Let's see. after Land. Okay, we got Legend of Zelda gets moved up by Nintendo. We had a Nintendo Direct talking about Legend of Zelda gets moved up to April 30th, 2027. Probably due to the success of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Amazon MGM is being sued by a producer for bidding war for reality television. So he's saying that usually we're given the option to bid on these shows, whether or not they're going to get made or not. This is typically if they're not casted to make a full pilot. Sometimes shows are asked to make a pilot episode to see if they'll be greenlit for a full season. And other times, like these reality TV shows like Love Island, other things, they're just straight up asked to make a full season of television. And then they're bid on whether or not they'll continue to make more shows. And apparently this showrunner from Amazon was promised that he would get his show bid on after he made it. And unfortunately, Amazon didn't bid anything on the show. And so he's suing them for misrepresentation. We'll see how that goes. Then let's see, Utica is now talking about supernatural occurrences since 2025. Really cool stuff there. We got a guy just retired from the Vatican's astronomy department. And he was a whistleblower of the Vatican. He was on Vatican Access, which is a YouTube page. And he talked about researcher Diana Basalka, Tim Taylor, and the Vatican, their travels to the Vatican, what they learned when they went there. Pope Francis's mentor was a big believer in the extraterrestrial, apparently. Life outside of Earth. The idea of people ritual signing. So yeah, there's been a weird topic in ufology about the ritual signing. Essentially, people saying they're chosen by God or that they've been chosen by aliens to disclose this stuff. So that's like ritual signing stuff, and you gotta watch out for that because that is false prophets. Okay, so this Maynor Karat Baluchia used to publicly speak about UFOs and aliens. Maynor from the Conclave. This is from Italy or Rome. So Maynor Karat Balducci used to speak publicly about aliens, talked about how the Bible is an account of these occurrences where people have experiences. So he tried to say back in the 80s, this Maynor, that the Bible is built off of people's first-hand experiences. So very interesting stuff. And he also talked about a hierarchy of beings and about how angels are under God, and then apparently the Central Intelligence Agencies are under angels, and then there's just the regular people. He did go into the fact that people have psionic abilities, the telepathic, so that was on his hierarchy of beings chart. People with psionics are a little bit above the regular class, but then right after that goes Central Intelligence people, and then angels, and then God, which is very interesting for hierarchy of beings chart. Then, of course, Disney said that Ahsoka Season 2 is coming in early 2027. We also got early reviews for The Mandalorian&Grogu. Really good stuff from the reviews. Some people are saying it's more of a TV movie, which is exactly what it is. Some people saying, it doesn't have depth or risk, I guess. And the TV show didn't really have a lot of depth or risk. It was a kid's show. But yeah, really cool stuff from there. Quick, if I can reach it. I went out to Burger King recently, and I was able to get the Mandalorian&Grogu. This is the fan cup. And you guys can pick this up at Burger King now if you get the Bounty bundle. So pretty cool. It's a little expensive, I will say. Not a lot of great food with the bounty bundle, but you do get a collector's cup, which I'm a very big fan of collecting things. So going on from there, Mandalorian&Grogu, can't wait to check it out. It comes out this Friday in the theaters, guys. So are you going to check it out? Let me know down in the comments below. New whistleblowers come forward. James Erdman from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, ODNI. This is going to be brought up a lot more, guys, because ODNI is being brought up with these files and how Tulsi Gabbard is trying to fight them to get the files for MK Ultra and the I want to say there's files on something else that she wants. I think it's MK Ultra, JFK, and maybe like something else. I'm forgetting on that last one. Go from there, catching up on more current events. So of course they talked about the hantavirus coverage here in the U.S. Several people have been taken from that passenger cruise line. They've been brought back to the States and they are recovering. And then now the WHO, the World Health Organization, is citing there is an Ebola outbreak happening due to the temperature, the hot degrees. 2 African nations have reported bad cases of Ebola coming back, which is very concerning with the temperatures rising. A current CIA operative has come forward to Congress. He's whistleblown, talked about the dig, which is apparently a special operation. They investigated the origins of COVID, anomalous health concerns, and then in 2021, they were given the mission of investigating UAPs. MK Ultra files, JFK boxes were sealed away, he talks about in this testimony. He says Tulsi Gabbard was kept in the dark. And that Anna Paulina Luna sends an order to preserve all documents from the CIA, FBI, Arrow, basically every agency they have, known or unknown. And now Luna is talking to the White House. Her and Eric Burlison are talking to the White House, which is pretty big deal. They've been talking to him or asking them for help for months, and now I guess Eric Burlison was on a podcast saying that the White House called him and asked him who they should investigate next, and he went into them. Apparently, he kind of went off like a diva, saying, "Oh, I've been investigating this for months. We've been asking for your help, and now you call." Which I'd say he deserves to rip the people in the U.S. or rip the people in the White House a new one for not calling him back for months and then giving him this one-off call. So yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, she wants her files, basically. And we also got to find out that, let's see, lost where it was in my notes real quick. The president talks about commencement to investment. So he was over in China recently, made a China trip for talking about unity and to basically bring investment back to the U.S. Right after he left, Putin showed up to do a Putin summit, Russia and China. An all-female Expendables is in development from Lionsgate, and it's going to be called Expendables. I'm guessing they're inspired by how Ballerina took off. And there's a movie on Prime called Pretty Lethal that I recommend a lot of people watch. But yeah, Expendables, all-female cast. They might be trying to get the success off of Ocean's 8 also. I'm not sure. What do you guys think about this story? Are you excited or not? Will Smith is supposed to star in a new film for Prime Video called Supermax about criminals essentially getting in fights in a super prison, and then they send in officers to investigate, break them up supposedly, and of course there's going to be a big fight to go down. Unfortunately, this movie is going to go straight to streaming, maybe showing a sign that they don't trust Will Smith just yet to go back to the big screen. I'm still waiting on him to return in Men in Black, hoping that they're going to make another one of those. Okay, moving on from there. Let's see. Peter Jackson says that he wants to keep doing more Tolkien projects. He actually came out recently and said, the reason why we stopped after Return of the King was that Tolkien's direct son didn't like the film. He didn't like Return of the King. He thought it was poorly done. And they had to wait a long time, almost 20 years, until he passed. And then now, the current Tolkien estate, his grandkids, are very adamant about Peter Jackson returning to the film franchise. And they know they got The Hunt for Gollum going on. Stephen Colbert is working on a sequel to The Lord of the Rings, a follow-up to Return of the King. But now we've got Peter Jackson saying, we are living in an age of technology and wonders where we can now fully realize the story of the Silmarillion. And I thought that was really awesome for him to talk about it. We didn't know if we were going to get that story, the full retelling of the history of Middle-earth. I'm a huge Tolkien fan. If you guys can't tell, I've got some pretty significant... This is Bilbo's map of the Lonely Mountain. I've got the One Ring. Go over a little bit to the side. You guys can see this tattoo of the Fellowship. But very interesting stuff. And yeah, the Silmarillion, a lot of people are wondering how can that be filmed, because it's like a story of tales, ages. They are trying to do that with Rings of Power. I'd be interested to see if Rings of Power kind of sets that up for Tolkien to come back, for Peter Jackson to come back and retell the stories in the movies. Then we got Congress is in battle with the CIA over hidden boxes. So we've heard about this before. Congress has tried to get the MK Ultra files out before in the 70s, and they claimed there were no files on it. So we're going back through the same issues we had back in the day. A new whistleblower has come forward, Matthew Brown. He's been on television before. He's been interviewed by George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell. Matthew Brown says he went to a location, Liberty Crossing, a very infamous site for government workers. They are known to come to this site. He said he was taken to a secure facility. He met with people in ODNI for the dig. They said he was a patriot for coming in and interviewing. But then, after he wouldn't give up information on UAPs, he tried to change the narrative, change the direction of the conversation to October 7th, and how he had files on the Hamas attack on Israel. And he was questioning ODNI on why they weren't investigating that more. Then the conversation took a very wild turn where the CIA operatives in the room tried to accuse Matthew Brown of being an anti-Semite, a Zionist, when he is a Jew. His family is Jewish. I'm not exactly sure why they tried to, really paint this guy in a bad light. He's come forward since and said, their stories of what happened during the skiff is not true. As well as Dylan Borland. Dylan Borland recently was on a Q&A with George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, where Jeremy Corbell said that he was given information about Dylan Borland drawing a triangle and a hieroglyphic symbol during a skiff when these people in the skiffs shouldn't be talking about what's happening. They shouldn't be giving Jeremy Corbell any information. And Jeremy Corbell said during the Q&A he believes these people are telling him lies, because he asked Dylan Borland if he drew that. And he said no, he didn't draw that symbol. He wouldn't know how to. He said there was a recording of everything he drew during the skiff, so they can prove for a fact what happened. But just a lot of weird twists and turns with this story. And of course, Dylan Borland was the individual that called Jeremy up on his documentary, Sleeping Dog, and he asked him to watch out for his wife because he is concerned the government is going to take him out. And then, let's see, JFK's speech real quick. There was a speech on secret societies that he gave apparently before he died, which is very interesting as well. Then we've got the president got UAP treatment in China. Apparently he was shown off to some of their secrets in the communist rose garden. Xi gave him seeds to plant a new rose garden because, of course, he demolished the garden. And apparently he talked about robotics. A lot of interesting stuff with robotics as well going on. Okay, let's see. Then there are many questions still about ancient archaeological discoveries. Bob Lazar and others have said these craft we've been working on are ancient. They're from possibly off-world or from a lost culture, lost civilization. I'd be very interested in finding that out. Okay, so live action How to Train Your Dragon 2 has wrapped filming. It's finished. It's still got a while to come out. I believe it drops in 2027. Supergirl premiere on June 26th in China. Very awesome that they are going to play Supergirl in China. I wasn't sure if they were going to have a release for it. Another big story is that we just confirmed, James Gunn said that Supergirl, Millie Alcock, will be in Man of Tomorrow. She will play a major role as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Got a little bit of swag to show off for the channel, guys. Went to my local Walmart and I was able to pick up Lobo. What an awesome character. I love the comic book character. And Jason Momoa playing it. You get a little bit of Millie Alcock on the side, Supergirl. They do have an image of him on the back. I do think they are paying him dust in this image. You can tell me what you think about that. Supergirl's Lobo. Yeah, very interesting. And they do actually have Lobo's bike as well. I'm thinking about buying the Lobo bike just to kind of have them together. But yeah, really cool Lobo from the multiverse. But yeah, awesome stuff. Lobo. I like him a lot. Okay, so let's move on from there. Netflix has a new series out called Nemesis that's already already charting on their top 10. This is a spinoff of the Power franchise from Tyler Perry. So I am looking forward to this. I'm hearing good things. Obsession scores a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Pit Season 3 storyline will go into the holidays. So we're not exactly sure if they're going to address maybe like Veterans Day or it's going to start off in like early November for Thanksgiving into Christmas. But all they've said for Season 3 is it's focused around the holidays. So that's cool. The real data is being withheld from Congress. So this is referring to the UAP files, alien life, all this stuff. Apparently, an individual came forward saying the deep state, what the deep state is. And he said, the deep state is a convolution of former government workers who are keeping data, sensitive data to themselves, keeping it from central intelligence agencies. So they're scrubbing it, essentially. And he said it's former Air Force, DOE, and private contractors, which is very interesting. Air Force, Department of Energy, and private contractors, which we've heard for years that it's been kind of a bit of all of that. Ronda Rousey, of course, beat Gina Carano in round 1 of her UFC fight. This was her retirement match. She beat Gina Carano in 17 seconds. So pretty good match. And of course, Obsession eyes $14.5 million for its opening weekend. Paramount's Paranormal Activity is jumping to Broadway. So that's something that's happening. Blair Witch is getting another film. This is going to be the fourth film in the franchise after they're developing a game. The original actor and actresses are coming back, or actress and actors. Apparently, this story is going to set around a family that goes camping in the infamous Blair Witch Woods, as they slowly go missing one after another. So, the biggest rail station in New York was down due to a strike from unions. I do believe they've got some of the rails back up in Manhattan, in the Bronx, the boroughs, but it was down for like 2 days. And that's a major rail station to be down. I mean, it commutes thousands and thousands of people. But yeah, very interesting stuff going on there. The crisis in Cuba, rolling blackouts, and they've got protesters in the streets shouting, "Turn the lights back on." So hopefully we get to see some more good news coming out of Cuba. They are hurting quite a bit due to the fuel crisis from the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Long Island rail strike. So yeah, I already talked about that. Crisis with the rails. Go on from there. Talked about lanterns already. Real quick, Barnes & Noble CEO talked about how he has no problem with selling AI books. And apparently some people got really upset with that. Some people aren't too upset because they write AI books. But we are going to be getting AI books in the Barnes & Noble stores because money is the thing that this world runs off of. Director of the first 2 episodes of Lanterns, we heard, is the creator of Slow Horses. So if you're a big fan of Slow Horses, apparently he developed the first, or directed the first 2 episodes of Lanterns. So that's really cool. Mandalorian&grogu earned 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't too bad. I would say 60% is fair for it being a TV movie. Influencers are the main focus on the critics. So they said recently at Disneyland, I think, or Star Wars Land, whatever the hell it's called, they had influencers there at the Millennium Falcon, and they met, an actor who was a stand-in for the Mandalorian, and when he took his helmet off, it was Pedro Pascal. And all these influencers were shocked but it wasn't like an authentic reaction, I guess, because all of the people in the crowd were influencers. So people are calling out Disney for staging a fake reaction. I think it was honest. I think it was genuine, but they could have worded the terminology a bit better. Now fans of Marvel and Star Wars are concerned the marketing is just a flat-out lie. Then we got James Cameron recently talked about how the Avatar franchise, we are going to be talking about Avatar, he plans on making them shorter for less money. Apparently, they can't be as long as the third one, obviously. But he's addressing this now, sounding a lot like the Disney execs. Quicker, shorter, and more, essentially. Grey's Anatomy has a spin-off coming from Texas, apparently. And I'm wondering if this Shonda Rhimes is producing. Shonda Rhimes has a very well-connected relationship in TV with Ryan Murphy. And if you guys know Ryan Murphy, he does all of the 911 franchise, and then he does American Horror Story. He did The Beauty. I believe there's a love story with JFK that he produced as well. Early reviews for Master of the Universe are very good as well. They're saying it's going to be a great summer hit. And I didn't expect Master of the Universe to do too well. But the premiere of Master of the Universe, they changed the entire Hollywood layout for the Chinese theater. They built Castle Grayskull on top of the Chinese theater. Dolph Lundgren was there to shake Galzantine's hand. So that was cool. They said it leans heavily on 80s nostalgia, but also in a modern day take. The president posts a photo of an alien in chains on an Air Force base, which is clearly an AI photo. It's made to look like it was someone had a secret camera hidden and they're recording it, but it's clearly fake. It just goes to show the president knows what's going on with the files. He knows what people want to see, but he is heavily using AI, and a lot of people are upset with that. Rubio, I want to talk about real quick. Rubio is a very interesting character because right now he is currently holding both the Secretary of State position, but he's also our National Secretary Advisor. So there's only been one individual in American history that has held both of those positions, and that was Henry Kissinger, and he held them both for 2 years. But now we're seeing Marco Rubio holding both of these very important government positions, the Secretary of State and the National Secretary Advisor. So both of those are pretty important positions to hold for one individual. A lot of people think that he is holding those positions because he is getting ready for disclosure to come. The fact that Space Force existed before the president made it a thing, made it a sixth branch of the military. They're now addressing Space Force is much older. It goes back to the 60s, the late space programs, the Apollos. So they're saying that President Trump only acknowledged Space Force to the public. It was around a lot longer, and it wasn't created by him either, which is very interesting because, I had a theory that Space Force has been around a lot longer, but now whistleblowers are coming out and confirming Trump only attached his name to it to bring it into relevancy, but it has been around for much, much longer. Real quick, Fred Bell. I also want to talk about famous guy in ufology. He wrote books on the Greys and underground facilities, apparently. He talked about shaking hands with a Grey. Unfortunately, Fred Bell passed away in his apartment, or hotel, if you will. He was traveling for a conference, and he had a heart attack, which is very common for these people in ufology. They're known to be going around giving conferences, speaking, and then they end up dead unexpectedly. And heart attack is a pretty common cause. Then we got eugenics. Eugenics is an ancient practice that they believe right now we're coming along in our technology to study and track genealogy, but they believe that ancient beings that came to Earth back in the day also brought the practice of eugenics, studying genes, bloodlines. They believe that now we're doing it because ancients brought the technology to Earth. Bendy Mouse, I guess, or I'm not exactly sure how you call it, but Bendy is in development. This is a video game. I guess it's the Ink Machine. Bendy and the Living Ink Machine is in development as a movie. Not sure if this is going to be any good. But with backdoors or back rooms coming out and stuff like that, I'm sure people are going to like it. Rick and Morty, they're on season 10, I believe, but they have just announced they're going to develop a movie. They didn't say anything about live action, but just an animated film. Would you guys be interested in seeing a Rick and Morty movie? Also, Minecraft 2 is filming right now at Warner Brothers. They've got sets of Steve in his, I guess he's going to be making like a flaming chicken mobile. He's cooking up chickens from the Minecraft world and selling them. And it also looks like there's stone men, endermen, and creepers in that town. So maybe they're going to be mixing a little bit of our world and the Minecraft world in this Minecraft 2 like they did with Jumanji. So, Millie Alcock, we already said returns for Man of Tomorrow. And then she said she has a major role, so I'd trust her. Batman Part 2, photos of the city of Gotham. We still haven't confirmed if Sebastian Stan is Harvey Dent or not. Matt Reeves kind of left that open-ended as a cryptic message. I still think he is Harvey Dent, but there's a rumor going around that he could play another mysterious character. And like I said, Gotham PD, whenever there's a Batman movie, there's set photos of Gotham PD police cars getting wrecked. So there's some photos of Gotham police cars getting blown up. which is cool. So that's all my notes for last week. Getting into some physical media, because that's what we all came here to see. So I do have a lot of movies in my collection I need to catch up on. But I recently got Mortal Kombat from 2021, the one that people don't really care for. I picked it up. I got it in the $5 bin at Walmart because I liked this movie. I thought it was great. I do get, reading the bio right here, MMA fighter Cole Young must train to unlock his true power to stand with Earth's greatest champions against the enemies of Outer World in a high-stakes battle for the universe. So first of all, I've only seen this movie like twice on streaming. Didn't realize Cole Young was supposed to be like MMA fighter. That's kind of meta, and I get why people kind of got pissed off by it. Also, was Cole Young in the games? I don't think so. So yeah, interesting movie. I liked it, so I bought it for $5. It's a Schnäppchen. It's a deal. But what do you guys think of the movie? I'm looking forward to Mortal Kombat 2. I still want to see it. So that was that one, the $5 bin. Now I'm moving on to something a little bit more expensive. This was like around $10. This is a 2-movie collection, which I do like to get those, of Pet Sematary and Pet Sematary Bloodlines. So this is the last 2 Pet Sematary movies that Paramount has developed. Got them in the bundle set. I'm a big fan of the franchise of Pet Sematary, the original. I don't think I've seen these 2 reboots. So I picked them up in the store to check them out. I do recognize this girl up top from Dutton Ranch. This girl that started out in horror films, I believe. She was also in The Gifted. If you guys watched The Gifted on FX, that was an X-Men live-action TV show. Not that great on FX. It only lasted like 2 seasons. But she was the sister in The Twins, and she was pretty good. Now she's in Dutton Ranch, so that's pretty good. But yeah, Pet Sematary and Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Definitely gonna check those out. They're both R-rated, so I love that. And then moving on to our greatest pickup of the video. Of course, you guys know I'm a big Avatar fan. I saw Fire and Ash in the theaters like the last week of screenings, and I was in the theater with like 6 other people when I watched the last screening of it. Great film. I thought it was tremendous. A lot of people didn't get a chance to go out to see it. So, of course, I had to, when I went to Walmart, pick up the 4K Blu-ray Steelbook, and it is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Not sure how much this is coming up on the video, but Varang flying her Banshee, and of course on the back, you can see more image. Open it up real quick. It does come with the digital code, and I try to keep like some of the information of the movie, but I'll show you real quick. 4K Blu-ray, and they do come with bonus features, which I gotta say is the reason why I bought this, is the bonus feature disc. I really want to check this out, but I'll take all the discs out real quick and just show you what the image is on the back. Some people like to see that. And it does have the official steelbook in the bottom. This is kind of like the tree, all the family gathering around the tree. And then on the back, of course, you got Varang. Funny that they only put the A symbol on the back, on the spine. There's no avatar in the actual cover art, which I think that's because of the people making the steelbooks. People making the steelbook art cover, they're doing an alright job, but they're not even putting the name of the film on it, which people need to know what it is. But I guess that's what the discs are for, right? I'll show off real quick. Here is the Ultra 4K disc, which I love that image of Jake and Neytiri walking down, gathering the troops. That is a very much Marvel Comics image, if you will. Loved it to see it in the movie. Love to see it. They put it on the 4K disc. I'll put that in the back real quick. Then we've got, of course, Spider and Kiri on the Blu-ray. Really awesome. I think their story is going to develop a bit more in the franchise going forward. And then, of course, we got the drawing of the creature for the bonus features, which is really cool as well. I'm not sure how well that's coming off in the image, but yeah, really cool flying creature, hand drawn. And they talked about how Cameron had this idea back in the 80s about flying creatures. He just didn't have the technology to film it. So I'm very excited to have all 3 discs in my collector's edition steelbook. Oh, I can show off real quick. Here is a little cardboard back that I cut out to keep. I like to keep these sometimes for information, but I do cut them down to fit inside the steelbook. So I've got Return to the breathtaking world of Pandora. In the most powerful chapter of the Avatar saga yet, as Jake and Neytiri guide their family through grief, they journey with the nomadic Wind Traders, which I really like the Wind Traders, across Pandora's skies. But the Sully's path is threatened by a new enemy, the Ash people, a warlike clan led by the fierce Varang, who have turned against Awa and the ancient Na'vi way. So really cool stuff. Like I said, it includes 3 discs. Over 3 hours of bonus footage, guys. Really awesome stuff here. John Landau tribute, RDA orientation. We've got disc 1 is the 4K Ultra HD, disc 2 is Blu-ray. Disc 3 bonus features include Igniting the Flame, the making of Avatar Fire and Ash. Oh, so great. But yeah, really awesome. It looks like it's in a resolution, high dynamic. Yeah, super sick. But that'll do it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for future content. What do you guys think of the stories this week? Are there mostly stories you guys have heard already, or something you didn't? Be sure to leave a like in the video, comment. Like I said, you can share the video if you like, or hype the video. That will help out very much. But until next time, guys, this is me signing off. Have a good one. Catch you next time.